In this article, the authors discuss online dating for heterosexual women and how it involves a mixture of danger and pleasure. The authors aim to discuss this by interviewing 5 young women who have experienced Tinder in New Zealand, outlining a discrepancy between gender roles and female sexual freedom. For those who are not familiar with Tinder, Tinder is a dating app that allows you to pick and choose who you want to meet with in real life. This depends on whether you swipe right or left on someone. Swiping left means not interested, and swiping right means I'm interested. If you swipe right on someone, and the other person swipes right on you too, a match is made, and so you're able to chat online. Tinder allows for a technologically mediated intimacy, where the computer decides who you will meet with by showing them on your feed. The article describes Tinder as being very similar to Facebook, but having a more anonymous essence to it, since all of the information that you have is their picture and description. The anonymous aspect of Tinder is essentially what makes it very intriguing and dangerous for women, and this is because of the gender relationships built around female and male promiscuity. One of the main concepts outlined by the text is that society tells women to be careful around men, rather than telling men to stop harassing women, and this is because of the 3 discourses surrounding heterosexuality. The first discourse is the male sexual drive discourse, stating that men have a biological sexual drive and women must respond to that. The second discourse is the half-whole discourse, stating that women must respond to male sexual drive in exchange for children and security. It also follows the idea of a male-centered culture where women serve them, but this time in exchange for something. The third discourse is the permissive discourse, where both men and women are sexual beings and have the right to express their desires as such. Even though this discourse seems to be more gender-blind, it affects both genders differently. Women are still more judged for engaging in casual sex than men, and because of this patriarchal culture, women are also more blamed for a negative sexual outcome. So how come women are told to be sexually free, but also have to watch out for dangerous situations surrounding male dominance? Okay, so let's skip to what the interviewed women actually said about being a heterosexual female using Tinder. Tinder was described by these women as something interesting, different, edgy, quick, easy, and simple to use. They claimed that old dating apps were mostly used for people who were considered old and desperate, while Tinder was seen amongst young people as new, cool, and modern. The interviewed women actually described that the use of Tinder was so common that it became more of a social event than anything else. Women created profiles for each other, and it became a topic of conversation. They expressed that Tinder is seen as another social platform, such as Instagram or Snapchat, where you talk to people without a clear intention set in mind. Unlike other dating apps, Tinder is seen as more ambiguous, where women can use it for sex, friends, or long-term relationships, so there is no obligation linked to it. Even though the interviewed women said that Tinder was mostly beneficial, the article argues that the dynamic of online dating apps is also centered around gender roles. For example, men are expected to text women first on Tinder, so even though the women also show interest, they are passive towards the male sexual advance. Not only this, but when deciding on in-person encounters, the women often went along with what the male wanted, finding themselves in situations that could be dangerous. This is interesting because the female's risk was placed under her own responsibility and judgment. Instead of challenging the overall gendered and patriarchal power relations surrounding the encounter, these women went along with what the male wanted in hopes of not being assaulted. The interviewed women also claimed that they were often catfished, where the man didn't look like the pictures online. Because of this, women would often tell the men that they were not interested, and the male would respond aggressively. It's like if men felt entitled to lash out at women for not wanting to be with them. The article says that this is a fine line between an assertive and an aggressive man, which is also surrounded by how expected gender roles affect online dating. The authors then conclude by stating how Tinder allows women to explore their sexuality as they can choose from a large pool of men. However, their interactions online with the male counterpart also reproduces some of the discourses of gender heterosexuality. This essentially amplifies the already existing notions of how women should protect themselves and behave when faced with aggressive men in dating situations. With this, the article recommends that we should turn conversations towards male behavior and not focus on how women should protect themselves from a male aggressor. Since the article mainly focuses on the male-to-female power relations in the online dating experience, I wanted to ask, do you think similar gender roles or expectations apply for members of different sexual orientations or genders in a Tinder experience? Have you ever experienced any internal dialogue between danger and thrill when using a dating app or meeting someone online?